Welcome to Science Store online classes.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
The biology online classes. We start with a new topic. This topic is from the unit Ecology. So, in that there are two chapters are retained for this year. One is Organism and Population, and second one is the Biodiversity and Conservation. So, in today's class, we will study about the first chapter under Ecology, that is Organism and Population. In that, we will start with the CET and NEET classes. So take out the worksheet, students, which I have sent you under Organism and Populations. So we will discuss the questions one after the other. First question, number 1. A population is a group of organisms of one species occupying a defined area in a given interval of time. For example, population, human population, bird population, animal population, etc. So the right option is the option A or 1. So population is a group of organisms of one species occupying a defined area. So option 1 is the right option. Let's move to next question. Question number 2. See the second option, a group of organisms of different species occupying a defined area. A group of organisms of different species occupying a different geographical area. Then it is not that a group of sexually isolated organisms occupying a different area. Let's move to question number 2, which is the correct order of ecological hierarchy. Ecological hierarchy means it starts from the lowest one, it's organism. Then comes the population. Then comes the community, and then last comes the biome. So the right option is the option 4. So what do you mean by organism? Now, basic unit of the cell is the basic unit of the life is the cell, and the group of cells which are performing similar functions, and they form the tissue. The group of tissue which are meant to perform a particular function, and that forms the organ, and group of organs that meant to make a similar function, perform a similar function. That is called as an organ system, and this organ system different combined, like the endocrine system, nervous system, all these systems combined together, and they forms the body of an organism. So that is organism. Population, you already know the definition. Then what is a community? Okay, a community is nothing but a group of association of population, group of association of a population of two or more different species. In population means there is a group of one particular species, but here there are two or more species, different species, okay, occupying in the geographical area and in a given interval of time. That means in a particular time. That is called as community. So also known as biosynosis. Community is also known as biosynosis. Then what do you mean by a biome? What do you mean by biome? You have heard about different kinds of biome. That is tundra biome, right? Alpine vegetation, then desert. So different kinds of biomes we have studied. So they are distributed according to the temperature as well as the rain or the precipitation. So I have already given the definition of a bio. What is a bio? So you have already studied about the community. So a large naturally occurring community, okay, of flora and fauna. Large naturally occurring community of flora and fauna occupying a major habitat. For example, forest irbodu, tundra irbodu. So these are examples for the bio. So first comes organism, then comes the population, and next comes the community, and finally comes the bio. Let's move to question number 3. Father of Indian ecology is R.D.O. Mishra, who is the father of ecology, Indian ecology, Ram.D.O. Mishra. Who has coined the term ecology? Ernest Haeckel. Ernest Haeckel coined the term ecology. The ecologist. Ernest Haeckel in the year 1869, the year that Mahatma Gandhi was born. So we can remember 1869. Father of modern ecology, that is Eugene P. Odom, father of modern ecology. Eugene Odom. Eugene P. Odom. Eugene P. Odom. Some important questions. Okay. Now, name the scientist. Who is Hutchinson? Hutchinson, he has given the classification system in case of plants. He has given the phylogenetic system of classification in case of plants. So, what is phylogenetic system of classification is classifying the organisms according to the evolutionary trend. Classifying the organism according to the evolutionary trend. Okay. So, who is G.S. Puri? He has written a book called as Indian Forest Ecology. G.S. Puri. He has written a book called as Indian Forest Ecology. Note down. Indian Forest Ecology. So you have to note down the points when I tell. Then who is Hans Reiter? The physician, German physician. Hans Reiter, German physician. Hans Reiter, German physician. Okay, so let's move to question number 4. Ecology describes interactions between living organisms only, interactions between members of a single species only, interactions of organisms among themselves as well as their surrounding abiotic components or interspecific competitions only. Yes. You are right, students. Ecology means it describes the interaction of organisms among themselves as well as with their surrounding abiotic components. Which are the abiotic components? Which are the non-living things like light, soil, then wind, okay, then temperature. So these are the water. These are examples for abiotic components or the abiotic factors. A means without, bio means life. That means non-living things or non-living components. environments. So, what do you mean by ecology? Oikos means home or habitat, and logos means to study. Oikos means home or habitat, and logos means to study. So, that is ecology. Meaning of the ecology, ecology. Okay, let's move to question number 5. Members of a population A 1 can interbreed and produce fertile offsprings. 2 share a common gene pool. 3 share or compete for similar resources. 4 more than one option is correct. These are all aspects which are concerned with the population. See, population means they can interbreed and produce the fertile offsprings. Then they share a common gene pool. Then share or compete for similar resources. And these are all the features of the members of the population. So the right option is the option 4. Let's move to question number 6. Ecology is basically concerned with how many basic levels of organizations? This 3, 2, 4 or 8. They are correct. It is 4, option 3. So ecology means it is basically concerned with the 4 basic levels of organization. Those are organisms, then comes the population, then comes the community, and finally comes the biome. Okay. Next, coming to question number 7. Ecological equivalents meant for. What do you mean by ecological equivalents? 2 similar ecological niche in some geographical location. 2 similar ecological niche in 2 different geographical locations, or organisms that occupy similar ecological niche in different geographical locations, or organisms that occupy different ecological niche in different geographical locations. Organisms that occupy similar ecological niche in different geographical locations are called as ecological equivalents. Organisms that occupy organisms that are found in similar ecological niche and in different geographical locations are called as the ecological equivalents. Now, you have already studied the term niche in your theory class. What do you mean by niche? So, each organism has an invariably defined range of conditions that it can tolerate. Then diversity in the resources it can utilize, and the distinct functional role it has to be played in an ecological system. All these together forms a niche. Okay, or you can say it is the house or principal home of a organism, that is the niche. So organisms that occupy similar niche in different geographical conditions. Geographical conditions may vary, maybe mountains or desert, but they are occupying a similar ecological niche. That means they have conditions that can tolerate and diversity in the resources it can utilize. For example, the desert living species, for example, kangaroo rat, it will have a particular habitat, desert, it cannot come, but it cannot come to other regions, other geographical regions. It is restricted area for it. Then it has got particular metabolic habitat, it has got particular food habit. Okay. Then it can have certain interactions among the members. So it has got diversity in the resources which can utilize in a particular geographical area, and that forms its niche. So organisms that occupy similar ecological niche in different geographical locations, they are called as ecological equivalents. Okay. For example, uh, they have defined range of conditions that it can tolerate, and the resources it can utilize, and the functional role it has to be played in the ecological. The person may be living, for example, in America, or person may be living in India. So the conditions, the geographical locations may be different. Or I may take the example that a person may be living in say, Udupi district, or a person may be living in South Kannada district. So the geographical locations are different, but ecological niche, the conditions may be similar. The food resources may be similar, or the diversity in the resources which they utilize that may be similar. They can tolerate different range of environmental conditions. The temperature may be similar, and the weather conditions may be similar. The rainfall, all these conditions may be similar. Okay, so that forms the ecological equivalent. That is the simplest example. Second, next question, question number 8. Factors which play a significant role in the formation of major biomes are this common code. One is the temperature, other one is the precipitation, that is option 2. Next. Permafrost condition is characteristic feature of very cold condition. So it is found in cold desert biome. It is found in cold desert biome. So what do you mean by permafrost condition? It's a very cold conditions. That is permafrost conditions. It is given in the NCERT 220. So in geology, the permafrost means it is a precipitation in if permafrost in geology, it is the ground, including the rock, or maybe the soil, or at or below the freezing point, maybe 0 degrees Celsius for 2 or more years. A rock or soil which is buried beneath the soil surface or the rock surface at a very cold temperature, 0 degrees Celsius or below, for 2 or more than 2 years, and that forms a hardened structure that is called as the permafrost. Okay, so this condition may be seen in case of cold desert biome, not in case of hot desert biome. Next, we see the option number 3. Option number 3 says there is savanna biome. What do you mean by savanna biome? Savanna biome. You heard about savanna biome? Where will you find savanna biome? Can you give an example for savanna biome? So, extreme cover of grasses with the scattered trees. Extreme cover of grasses with the scattered trees. That biome that is called as the savanna biome. Savanna forest in the current area. Okay. So, savanna vegetation can be found in case of African continent, Hulugaon. Then there is one more, the fourth option very good. What is that? Chaparral. Chaparral biome. Fourth option, you see. It is a Mediterranean forest, woodland and shrub. It is a temperate biome characterized by dry summer, mild and rainy winters. That is called as the chaparral biome. Let's move to question number 10. Let's move to question number 10. Find out the incorrect match. 1. Topographical factors means soil structure. Yes. Topographical factors, that means they include physiographic nature, that means how is the physical nature of a particular region, whether it is plain land or it is a slope or whether it is a mountain, etc. That is called as the topographic factors. So, soil texture means edaphic factors. Soil texture means edaphic factors. Soil texture means edaphic factors. Edaphic factors. Okay. So, climatic factors means, of course, tells about the wind, humidity, etc. Physiographic factors means, for example, mountain slope and all. Edaphic factors means the soil factors. Topographic factors means it tells about the physiographic nature, example, plain or slope or mountain, etc. Question number 11. Choose the odd one with respect to the features of tropical rainforests. Tropical rainforests, for example, tundra, it has having permafrost. I said already what is the meaning of permafrost. Okay, so they are having woody climbers. Permafrost, that means they have tundra vegetation. The soil or rock becomes very cool and beneath the soil surface under say 0 degrees Celsius or below that, which is kept for long than 2 years. Next, drip tips, epiphytes. Epi means above, phytes means plants, which are going on other plants. Woody climbers, drip tips. These are all the characteristic features of tropical rainforests. So the odd one here is the permafrost. Permafrost is the characteristic features of the tundra vegetation or tundra biome, and other trees like drip tips, then epiphytes, woody climber. These are all examples for your which rainforest, tropical rainforest. Let's move to question number 12. The organisms found in boiling thermal springs are fungi, protists, archaebacteria, actinomycetes. Actinomycetes is one of the 4 classes of fungi. Fungi has 4 different major classes. One is Hypomycetes, Actinomycetes, Bacteriomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. Archaebacteria, which can thrive in very extreme conditions, okay, extreme environmental conditions, because Actiebacteria into cell wall and cell membrane composition. Their cell wall and cell membrane composition again. So this Archaebacteria can thrive in thermal springs. Okay. It is not the precipitation, nor it is not the fungi, nor the protists or actinomycetes. It is the archaebacteria. We have already studied in the chapter biological classification about the cell wall composition of the archaebacteria. Question number 13. Which of the following is most ecologically relevant factor? Precipitation, temperature, soil, or wind? Which of the following is most ecologically relevant factor? What do you mean by ecologically relevant factor? See, if you see the NCERT page number 221, it's most important to know in which page of the NCERT has come the concept, and you can give more importance for such sentences in NCERT. You have to mark these questions, you have to write there, okay, and you have to underline the concepts, very important. So, which of the following is most ecologically relevant factor means it is the temperature. So, average temperature in different regions varies according to the different seasons. So, it decreases progressively from the equator towards the poles, from the plains to the mountains. So it is the most deciding factor when compared to the precipitation, soil or wind. Okay. Next, question number 14. A habitat is constituted by ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟೇಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ನಾನ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ abiotic factors as well as the biotic factors. So a habitat is constituted by predators and pathogens only. Predators means the one who find their prey, depends upon the prey. Okay. Then pathogens means the disease causing organisms. Abiotic as well as ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೇ ಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರೆಡೇಟರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ಯಾಥೋಜನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಾಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಹೆಟರೋಟ್ರೋಫಿಕ್, ಆಟೋಟ್ರೋಫಿಕ್, ಪ್ಯಾಥೋಜನ್ಸ್, ಪ್ರೆಡೇಟರ್ಸ್, ಪ್ಯಾರಾಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಡಾಫಿಕ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ನೋ. ಟೋಪೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್, ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಡಾಫಿಕ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ನೋ. A habitat means it includes both abiotic as well as the biotic factors. Next question number 15. A kind of similarity found in polar regions and high altitudes. Polar region is high altitude and low similarity. Low temperature, snowfall, scanty or no vegetation. That is the right answer, option 2. Next. Question number 16. Mango, tuna fish, snow leopards are what? They are all stenothermal. Mango, tuna fish, snow leopards are all stenothermal. They live in area where temperature is uniform throughout the year. Means that is restricted at narrow temperature zone. That is narrow temperature zone is thermal. Thermal refer to the temperature. Eurythermal means which can tolerate a wide range of temperatures. That is called as eurythermal. You have studied in the theory eurythermal. Example: tiger, man, cat, dog. For eurythermal, plants include rose, daisy, some vegetables, fruits. Okay. And examples for the stenothermal is mango, tuna fish, snow leopards. Euryhaline means which can tolerate a wide range of salinity. Okay. Stenohaline means which can tolerate only a narrow range of salinity. So euryhaline animals, example: Atlantic stingray, bull shark, salmon. Then sea grasses. Stenohaline examples: goldfish, then hydrilla, lotus. All these examples I have given the theory. Next, moving to question number 17. Find out the correct match with respect to the salinity in parts per thousand. Inland water greater than 5, sea water between 60 to 65, hypersaline lagoons greater than 100, fresh water is greater than 3. So, salinity, if you see in parts per thousand, is measured in parts per thousand. So, in the land water it is 5. Then if you see, so sea water it is between 30 to 35. Then in hypersaline lagoon it goes greater than 100. So that is the right option, option 3. So less than 5 in inland waters, 30 to 35 in the sea, and greater than 100% in some hypersaline lagoons. So what do you mean by lagoons? Lagoons means a stretch of water bodies separated from the sea by a low sea bank or by a coral reef. Separated by coral reef. It is just a stretch of salt water, standing water, salt water, separated from the sea by a coral reef, or maybe by a sand bank. That is called as the lagoon. Lagoon alli salinity tumba high irutade. It is greater than 100 parts per thousand. Now, if you see the fresh water, the salinity 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 ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. It is not greater than 3, it is less than 3. Okay. Next we will move to question number 19. 18 is discussed later if the time permits, because it is not there in the NCERT. We will move to question number 19. The most important factors influencing the life of organisms are: 1. Soil temperature, 2. Light water, 3. Water temperature, 4. Soil light. So the two most important factors influencing the life of organisms are: 1 is the water, another one is the temperature, option 3. Question number 20. Below is the diagrammatic representation of the response of organisms against the temperature. Find out the correct match. See the graph. What does the graph says? One, if you take the draw the x-axis, the graph is given here like this. Graph is there. So this is the external level. This is the external level. Then temperature. External level temperature. This is the internal level temperature. Take this as the internal level temperature. Internal level temperature. Then they are given one straight line. Another one is this parallel. Another going straight, then and it will become parallel. You see these three graphs? Yes. So what do you mean by A? Plants, B birds. 2. A birds, B mammals. 3. C mammals, B plants. 4. A birds, B plants. Now, what do you mean by A? What do you mean by B? No, they are not labeled here. So just label A and B and C. This you label as A, this is B, and this kind of questions are important for your CET or NEET. Now what do you mean by A? A are the conformers. 99% of the animals and all plants, they are conformers. B means they are the regulators. All birds and the mammals, they are regulators. They can regulate their body temperature irrespective of the surrounding change in temperature. Their body temperature has to be normal. Okay, so they are called as homeothers. Conformers, their temperature range tend to change. 99% of the animals and all plants are conformers. Partial regulators, they can regulate their body temperature up to certain range, and then they becomes the regulators. Okay, up to certain conditions they are the conformers, and then they becomes the regulators. You can see page number 223 of your NCERT. The particular graph is given. Okay. So they are given regulators and conformers. Next we will move to question number 21. Smaller animals tend to lose the body heat very fast as compared to the larger animals, because they have one higher surface to volume ratio, to lower surface to volume ratio, 3 equal values of surface and volume, or 4 very low BMR or basal metabolic rate. So higher surface to volume ratio, Because of higher surface area to volume ratio, smaller animals can produce body weight very fast as compared to the large animals. Their body size is very small, correct? But surface area is high, so that it gives a much wider opportunity for the evaporation to occur. So higher surface area, smaller ratio. Okay, surface area to volume ratio. So smaller animals tend to lose body heat very fast as compared to the larger animals. Okay, smaller, higher surface to volume ratio. Next, question number 22. Match the column 1 with the column 2. This is very important. Match the column 1 with the column 2 and choose the correct options. Column 1, they have given different conditions. Column 2, the environmental, the column 1 and different names they have given. In column 2, they have given the different conditions. So, column 1, they have given, see, aciation, then hibernation and diapause. Column 2, they have given overwintering, oversummer, suspended development in zooplankton. So aestivation means oversummer. During the extreme conditions of summer, they hide themselves in the burrow or in the cooler places like the caves. Then hibernation is during the extreme winter, they hide themselves in the burrow or they'll go to other places. For example, frogs, amphibians, they show this hibernation as well as aestivation. Many animals they show. Diapause, suspended development in zooplanktons. They will not undergo development, they will rest in the dormant stage, their metabolic activity decreases, they will eat less food. All these conditions to survive the extreme environmental conditions. So, they will stop the growth at particular time interval because the environmental conditions are not favorable, so they utilize less energy. So more energy is required for the metabolism or development of this. If they spend the energy, then they will not get the food energy back by the food because food availability may be less during the extreme environmental conditions. So to overcome that, they will undergo a period of suspended development in case of zooplanktons, and that is called as the diapause. Question number 23. Thick cuticle, sunken and photoactive stomata. Photopic means night active stomata. Then CAM photosynthesis, Castellarian acid metabolism. We already studied first PUC. Photosynthesis and conversion of leaves into spines are some of the important characteristics of the desert plants. Desert plants are not only called as the xerophytes. It is not the hydrophytes or the aquatic plants. So option 4 is the right answer. More than one option is correct. These are all the features related with the xerophytic and the desert plants. Thick cuticle in order to prevent the rate of respiration. Sunken stomata so that the transpiration cannot take space. Means loss of water can be minimized as a result of transpiration. Photoactive stomata. Stomata remain open during the night time because during the night time the temperature is very less. During the daytime, if the temperature is more, then temperature will favors more and more rate of transpiration, evaporation rate. Okay. Next question number 24. Warm-blooded animals like mammals from colder climates generally have shorter ears and limbs, and this is the explanation of Jordan's rule, Allen's rule, Renz's rule, Bergman's rule. Think about this. You know the answer. So I'll tell the answer in the next class and stop at this particular point of view. So take down all the important points which I have written on the board. Also take down my lecture notes, and thank you students for watching the video.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.